When something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor. You should take the approach that you were wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong. It is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. Any product that needs a manual to work is broken. I'm not trying to be anyone's savior. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad. No, I don't ever give up. I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated. The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then probability will occur. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better. Constantly seek criticism. A well-thought-out critic of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you are constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. One of the really tough things is figuring out what questions to ask. Once you figure out the question, then the answer is relatively easy. Life needs to be more than just solving problems every day. You need to wake up and be excited about the future. You have to be pretty driven to make it happen. Otherwise, you will just make yourself miserable. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you're not innovating enough. I was raised by books, and then my parents. Education is basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain. I take the position that I'm always to some degree wrong, and the aspiration is to be less wrong. One of the biggest mistakes we made was trying to automate things that are super easy for a person to do, but super hard for a robot to do. Every person in your company is a vector. Your progress is determined by the sum of all vectors. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you're forced to give up. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket, as long as you control what happens to that basket. I think it would be great to be born on Earth and die on Mars, just hopefully not at the point of impact. Nobody ever changed the world on 40 hours a week. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness, to make sure it continues into the future. When I was a child, there's one thing I said. I never want to be alone. That's what I would say. Science is discovering the essential truth about what exists in the universe. Engineering is about creating things that never existed. If something is important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. Don't confuse schooling with education. I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me did. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. The only thing that makes sense to do is strive for greater collective enlightenment. People should pursue what they are passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. If you're co-founder or CEO, you have to do all kinds of tasks you might not want to do. No task is too menial. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It's important that people look forward to coming to work. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. Don't delude yourself into thinking something is working when it's not, or you're gonna get fixated on a bad solution. When my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch.